We're going to take the North and never give it back.
So that's a good pick. You get the corner. I got to go bold, right? I got to go bold for this.
Yeah, she's got some nice.
Welcome back to the Unbearable Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Brad. Make sure to like and subscribe if you're out there on YouTube. And also, rate the show 5 stars everywhere that you get your podcast. Happy Mock Draft Monday. Today, we're going through my first Chicago Bears mock draft, not the whole March Madness that we were doing where I was just kind of throwing random things together. This is a what would I do with the Bears at that number 10 pick. We're actually also even doing a full mock draft. I know a lot of you guys want to see a full mock. And yeah, we're going to go all the way down to the 7th round picks as well, just to kind of get all the way down to see what could we kind of take away as a haul. So how's everybody doing out there? Hope you're ready for an awesome week. Also, I have some also even better news. We also have the draft guide version 2.0 is now officially here. It is now released. You can just simply click the link down below in the description and access it. It is absolutely for free. Now it's over 120 pages. So it's just different draft profiles for so many different people. I added a lot more safeties, a lot more defensive ends. So, and some D tackles, I think even a tackle or two. There's a lot of players out there, all the people that you need to know. We also have a top 30 tracker that I keep up to date out there inside of the draft guide as well. And it's good to know too, that the Bears took everyone that they drafted last season was all from their top 30. So that is something to definitely keep an eye out for. But how's everyone doing out there? I see Shy Drax out there in the chat. What's good, my friend? Hope you're doing well. So let's get right into this. So before we get into the mock draft, there was something that happened that kind of, I was going to change my mock draft a little bit up too because of the new news. So today on CHGO and other different broadcasting spots out there, a lot of different people were able to interview Ben Johnson. And during the interviews, some of the big pieces that a lot of people took away was it seems like Ben Johnson really likes one Tyler Warren, the tight end out of Penn State. Now, I'm not putting him in my mock draft. That's actually why I wanted to talk about him right now, because he was my second option for the number 10 spot. So Tyler Warren, I wanted to I was like, oh man, do I change this up? Do I throw Tyler Warren in? Because it was literally down to Tyler Warren and this other person. So spoiler alert, I didn't choose Tyler Warren, but kind of wish I did. So I'm like, let's just talk about Tyler Warren. So I want to ask you all out there as you're watching the show, just how would you grade if the Bears went Tyler Warren at 10, how would you grade that? What would you think about that? So let me know down below in the comments or inside of the poll, however you're watching or digesting the show. And Taco Man, what is good? And Squeegee, hope y'all are doing well. So yeah, with Tyler Warren, a little bit that I'll talk about is the thing that really kind of popped when Ben Johnson was talking about Tyler Warren. You know, this guy is 6'6", 261. He's a very good athlete at the tight end position. And yeah, he's not Brock Bowers, because Brock Bowers was literally the best tight end prospect that I can remember just because of the level of dominance that he had at the college level. Tyler Warren is a big guy. I put the comp as Travis Kelce because I don't think he's a phenomenal blocker, but he's good enough. Like, he can at least block. He's not Jimmy Graham when it comes to blocking. But the thing that got Ben Johnson so excited was he's like, yeah, you could throw him in the backfield. You can throw him out wide in the slot. Like, you could put Tyler Warren all over the place. And he specifically called out how Dennis Allen said this guy would be very, very difficult to try and game plan for because you could just stick him all over the field. So right when he's talking about that, I was like, oh, crap. Because I put together my mock draft on Sunday and I'm like, do I change it? And I'm like, no, we'll just cover Tyler Warren. We'll talk about it beforehand. Because like I said, it was Tyler Warren versus this other guy. I was about to say his name, but that was really what it was. So let's see what everyone else is saying. Squeegee out there, he likes to dive over the pile on goal line like Peyton did. And that's another thing too, is they put Tyler Warren in wildcat situations. And yeah, I bet you that, like, you know, you probably see Ben Johnson going, I could really go for this guy. Victor, what's up? Bear down indeed. And yeah, a lot of you really like that. 20% A, 80% B. So yeah, Tyler Warren, maybe I should have gone with him with my first pick. But I wanted to just talk about that because I thought it was really interesting that you see Ben Johnson, who right now it doesn't seem like he has a coach's filter. It just seems like if he likes a player, he'll just start talking about that player for sure. So yeah, Tyler Warren, definitely someone, because before we get started in the mock draft, actually like kind of a preview, like I said, Tyler Warren was one of the people that I had because really for that number 10 spot, the way that I'm kind of thinking about it, like the way that I thought about it when I was going into this mock draft was, to me, you either have to get a difference maker or build the trenches, right? So if you are drafting someone that is not someone in the trenches, obviously you'd want it to be both. You'd want a difference maker in the trenches, boom. Like you'd want both. But if you can't get someone in the trenches, if you're drafting a difference maker, it has to be a big time difference maker. It has to be like, if they believe that Tyler Warren can be that difference maker, then yeah, I'm up for it because Ben Johnson is a freaking mastermind and he's going to be able to put him wherever he wants. So that is something that is key. And as I was going through this mock draft, a couple other things too. I don't do trade backs in a lot of these mock drafts, like when it's my personal mock draft. Why? Because I think it's kind of a little bit of a cop-out when someone's doing a mock draft and they're like, yeah, I'll just trade back and I'll just take the guy that I want at 16. I'll take the guy that I want at 20, and I'll also get a second round pick. So for this, I'm not doing any trade backs. I really wish I could, but to me, it's about previewing who, if you had to, who are you taking at that spot, regardless of what it is, right? So who are you taking at that spot? And also another thing too, I'm not using any specific mock draft simulators to simulate this. Big reason is because a lot of those are kind of catered to their players. So I know a lot of people like the Pro Football Network one. Their players are all over the place. You can definitely take advantage of that. And like the PFF one too, it's all focused on their pieces. So a lot of the stuff that I'm talking about is really focused on the consensus big boards and consensus, where are people going, and trying to base it off of that. Because yeah, no one can predict the draft. It's something that my wife and I always like to try and do. Kind of like a little bracket challenge. Maybe we'll do something like that for the draft coming up. So let's see. So let's get right into this then. Also got J2K out there. We got Skokes. What's good? We got Philip. Bear down, all y'all out in the chat. So let's say pick number 10. So now, like I said, like I previewed for this, it's either superstar, like game changer, or someone on the defensive line. And what sold me was my dad and I were talking this weekend, and we're like, just like normal Bears fans, who should we take? Who should we take? And the thing that, like, when I was talking with my dad, I'm like, I am so sick of our defensive line not being good. And when I think about who's going to be available at 10, here's the thing. I think that, like, Will Campbell, right? Will Campbell just did his measurements. He's 33-inch arms and other things like that. If the NFL thinks that Will Campbell is a left tackle, he's not going to be there at 10, right? He checks all the boxes. Also, Membu is someone that I actually kind of like more than Will Campbell. So if they want to go tackle, they always could. But to me, I'm like, I just feel like this guy's going to be available. And this is someone that I absolutely love this guy. I think he's a top 10 caliber interior player that will be available there. And let's see. So I see some people guessing Grant, my number 10 pick. And here, let me get this all squared away. And already, I am really curious to see what y'all have to say about this. A, B, C, and I'll even do a dash F if any of you guys really want to hate this. So with my number 10 pick, I have the Chicago Bears selecting Mike Green, defensive end out of Marshall. Now, I know some of you that listen to this show go, Brad, what about the allegations? I want to get the allegations out of the way before we talk about this pick. This is what I would do. Not the McCaskies. I don't think that the McCaskies would take Mike Green. This guy is someone that is a top tier pass rusher. Now, first off, let's get the allegations out of the way. He had a sexual assault allegation back in high school, which we don't know too many details about that. And then when he went over to Virginia as a freshman, what ended up happening out there is they have a no nonsense policy. And literally when he was out there, so it was brought up, and then all of a sudden, he's off the team. So we don't know about what went on with those allegations. If I'm the Bears, I'm asking them saying, hey, to me, this is like a Jalen Carter situation. You go, do we think that we have a locker room that can support this young man and make him into a man, make him into something, and then also figure out what the allegations actually were. Because I kind of want to throw those, I'm not dismissing them, but to me, I don't want to talk about something of what could it be, right? But with this, the player of Mike Green, this guy is a redshirt sophomore, 6'3", 251, 17 freaking sacks, right? This is an 81 tackles. This is where when I said, I am sick and tired of this defensive line not being good. You take this guy who is a top 10 talent and just an absolute crazy productive guy, and you take him. This is the reason why you went out and got Grady Jarrett. You're paying him all this money. You are trying to have a defensive line with leaders around this young man to make him great. Is Dayo Adengbo going to be getting sacks? No. Will Mike Green be getting sacks? Yes. This guy has crazy bend. This guy can bend. This guy has this twitch. And here's the thing about him. I know some people will say, well, he went to Marshall, right? Well, he went to Marshall and he got 17 sacks, 32 hurries, and 10 quarterback hits. He had a pass rush win rate of over 20% and also a run stuff rate of 9.4%, which is absolutely insane. Elite grades in both pass rush and run grades. So, and second highest graded PFF player. The thing with Mike Green also is building off of that whole Marshall thing. He went out to the scouting combine, lit it up. And actually at his pro day just recently, his athletic testing numbers are elite. Elite quickness, elite speed, elite entirely across the board. Also, too, with Mike Green, he goes out to the Senior Bowl, absolutely dominates it. Goes out to Ohio State when they were playing Ohio State, absolutely dominated them. I think he got 2 sacks against them. Just when he had to go against top level competition, he destroyed them. And that is the thing that I keep on going out to. This guy just has such a plethora of pass rush moves and just absolutely crazy. And I know Dennis Allen might not love this. This is what I would do. I just really want a player like this that can actually wreck games and actually get to the quarterback and do things like that. So that was something that I went for, right? It was him or Tyler Warren. And I'm like, like I said, my dad and I were talking. I'm like, I am sick of this line not being good. Some of the negatives, besides obviously the allegation stuff, the one thing that kind of I would want to talk to him about if I were the Bears and I were actually considering him. The big thing for me is the anchor ability. He's got a little bit of a lighter frame. He's still 250 pounds. He can still add a little bit more to his frame. And he's got some decent sized arms. Actually, speaking of that, it's not super long arms, but also not great with anchoring. He's trying to more so penetrate against the against the running game. So that is something that I would want to ask him. Like, hey, were you asked to just try to penetrate and make a play on the ball carrier, or were you asked to anchor and you just simply didn't? Because that is one of the only things that I kind of have some questions out with that. So to me, I think that this is a guy that you throw out there. And dude, this guy kind of reminds me of when Khalil Mack was coming out, not from the player type, but more the situation. Small school that when you put on the tape, dang, this guy's just really, really good. To me, he's my edge too. No question, just because of, and I see that he's also a lot of other people's edge too as well. To me, he's just really good. He's really, really good. And to me, get the guy that just keeps beating people. Like just keeps beating his blockers over and over again. So right down the line, we have 25% all over the place, which I kind of expected. I expected some of you to not like it. I expect you some to like it. So that's the big thing. I'm just kind of seeing out there. Victor's got Pierce, got Grant. Let's see. Victor, is he plug and play? Yeah, he definitely is. I think it would all depend on how they want to kind of situate Dayo and also Mike Green. But to me, Mike Green is like a day one. He can at least be that pass rush specialist. I just think that he's very, very good. But let's see, Squeegee out there. We have the locker room and coaching staff to deal with Mike. He can set the edge and rush the passer. I'm in, giving him a shot. That being said, Poles probably won't gamble. See, that's the thing. Do I think the Bears are going to draft him? No. Like I said, hey, there's a different regime out there, but that's where it's like, I can't see the Bears taking Green or Pierce. So yeah, Romy's saying, don't want a guy who violates women on my team. Hey, that's fair. Like I said, that's one of those things where I'm like, I'm talking about the player for this as well. So yeah. Yep. Yeah. Character issues concerned. Yeah. And J2K concerned more with his issues and his arm length. Yeah. And that's what I was talking about. Like with all that, all those pieces, what is it exactly that's going on with it? But yeah, anyone that it's obviously terrible, right? Or it's bad with some of those things. So yeah, I'm not condoning or I'm not bringing it up or anything like that. But yeah, so let's keep on going with this. Yeah, 40% now C. So not a lot of y'all liking. Like I said, maybe I should have gone with Tyler Warren then as that player. But yeah, like I said, I really also haven't talked about Mike Green too much with y'all, but he's still my edge too. Very, very talented. And also too, like James Pierce. I really like James Pierce, but like his concerns to me, the reason why I'm like kind of out with him is a lot of his like character concerns are more so like, hey, who is like, does he actually want to be in the NFL? And I just think of Nate Davis and I'm like, yeah, we don't need that guy. We don't need someone who might not be as dedicated as possible. So to me, I was like, you know what? Mike Green is different than all the others. So I went with him at pick number 10. So now let's go to pick 39, where with a lot of these mock drafts, like I said, it's predicting who's going to be available, who's going to be there. And I could have kind of gone chalk with this one in particular. But like I've said on this show, to me, I love that number 39 pick as, hey, is there anybody from that first round that kind of drops down to you? Now, yet again, a great spot to potentially trade back, but I'm not trading back in these exercises. So I kind of was thinking, why does somebody fall back? And I think about Tevin Jenkins. Tevin Jenkins, first round tackle. Everyone's like, Tevin Jenkins. But it became an injury thing. So to me, I go to injuries. Who's someone with an injury that could potentially drop to that number 39 pick, but right? Could fall out of that first round. So I was just thinking about that and like also have an injury that I would feel comfortable with the Bears actually taking as well. And that's where I went to. And it turns out I'm not super original on this because Connor Rogers actually from NBC Sports just mocked this guy to the Bears and dropping out of the first round. And I have Josh Simmons going to the Bears at pick 39, offensive tackle out of Ohio State. So I'm curious about all of y'all. What are you thinking about Josh Simmons to the Chicago Bears, offensive tackle out of Ohio State? Now, this is the reason why I mocked him down here. Because here's the thing, right? I'm trying to mock. There's always a handful of people that drop out of the first round. Like I said, Connor Rogers from NBC Sports, turns out he did the same thing that I just did. I did some research because I am not a medical expert at all. So I had to do my research on this. I just did some quick searching. They say, hey, if you have a torn patellar tendon, which he had, you're going to have 6 months it takes 6 months, and then you'll be running a full tendon rupture, which seems like it might have been that. Takes a full year to get back to. And he tore this out in October. Now, a big reason why he might drop when you look at some of the people farther down the list in the draft, they want a tackle they can start today. They want a tackle that can build with the team, that can sit, and be inside of the practices. They don't need somebody that can kind of redshirt a year. Here comes the Bears saying, hey, we have Braxton Jones for 1 year. And like I said before, I like the idea. If the Bears want to get a tackle that can build, rest a year. So Braxton could be out there. And if Braxton all of a sudden looks amazing, cool, awesome, right? You can sign him to a deal. But hey, if you get Josh Simmons who drops to you because of injury concerns and you go, well, yeah, we can redshirt him. If it takes a year or so for him to get back from this injury, let's go do that, right? Nakobe Dean just tore his patellar tendon at the end of the season. He's going to miss part of the start of next season from the Philadelphia Eagles. So that's another thing. Also, too, I called this guy out before, Mason West, who's great follow on Twitter. He's a physical therapist, someone that talks a lot about like injuries. This is what he posted about Josh Simmons. He said they aren't, someone asked him about Josh Simmons coming back and doing well. He said they aren't exactly in his favor, but to be honest, we haven't seen a ton of prospects at his age have this injury. The data isn't there. That's a good point. But when we see older NFL players have this, it's not good for their careers. Best case, he isn't 100% until about 2 years out if he gets to 100%. So that's something that I wanted to bring up with Josh Simmons because, hey, if we're projecting who drops out of the first, and if someone disagrees with me, who do you think is going to drop out of the first round? Because Josh Simmons, number 25 prospect overall. That's why I think if he drops, it's a pretty good idea. He's not going to start. Maybe he could, right? But you just say, take it easy, relax. But besides the whole injury thing, what can I tell you about Josh Simmons? This guy's a very good pass protector. When I was watching the tape, I kept coming away like his run game, I think he could get a little bit better. He's not a big people mover or anything like that, but man, he is a very good pass protector. Last season, like we said, he got injured in October. He had a 99.4% pass block efficiency rate. That is insane. Like he had one hurry in like 5 games. It was crazy. 0 sacks, 0 QB hits. He is a very, very good pass protector. And the reason why is his footwork is phenomenal. He's got all the measurements you want at the tackle position as well. But his feet, he just keeps in front of you. And like I said, run blocking, maybe not as great as I would want to. Not a lot of power to his game, but still just keep Caleb Williams up. That's what I want to see out of an offensive tackle. And quite frankly, oh man, to me, he's right up with like when you put on the tape, him and Will Campbell. Like I said, Membu might actually be my tackle one. I really like Armand Membu. But with like Josh Simmons and Will Campbell, they might be neck and neck. I like Josh Simmons on the tape that much. He's darn good. But let's see what y'all are saying out there. Victor saying true left tackle. Broski saying I don't want any project players or injured players within our first 4 picks. Hey, fair enough for sure. And then also Squeegee would be a great addition to put pressure on Braxton. Yeah. And Victor saying I'm not drafting a red shirt. That's the thing too. Like with this as well, part of me is like, oh man, I kind of want like someone that could just kind of go in and play. So that's going to be the big question for me. But I wanted to throw that out there as someone that, hey, if you want to go with the tackle, like that's my big thing. If you want to go tackle, I'm only looking at tackle in day one and day 2, because other than that, you're not going to see probably someone better than like a Braxton Jones. And I think with that, you're more so than leaning on Karana Magaji. How does he look like when he's kind of coming back and off of that injury? So a lot of y'all like that. Majority of you saying A out there. I like that. So let's keep this train moving. So now with that, like I said, I wanted to do one person kind of dropping out. And yet again, Connor Rogers had the same thing. So I was doing some research and I'm like, oh, I like his stuff. Turns out he was already mocking that a little bit, but let's talk about number 40, pick number 41. And with this, something that keeps on going into my head where I just hear Ben Johnson talking about this defensive line. And something that sticks out to me was one of the first things he said is that at the defensive tackle position, when Andrew Billings went down, this defense was different, right? Andrew Billings was the big run stuffer in the middle. He was the dude. He's coming off of a torn pec. We need somebody that can come in and be that Andrew Billings. And if in case he goes down, we need that extra depth because Grady Jarrett, more of that 3 technique that we have out there. So with that, I need somebody that can clog up the middle, that can do a darn good job at that as well. And I'm going back to Ohio State and taking Tyleik Williams with pick number 41. Like I said, we need somebody that can be Andrew Billings when Andrew Billings is not out there. And this is someone 6'3", 334. This is a big boy in the middle that should be there in that second round. And when I was looking at the defensive tackle spot, right, Chris Williams right now is our 4th defensive tackle in the rotation. Andrew Billings most likely being the 3rd. You can switch this around with Javon Dexter, Grady Jarrett taking majority snaps. I like Tyleik Williams as a good depth. He's not just a nose tackle. He can play that 3 technique and really kind of dominate in the run game. Big time run stuffer. We need someone else that can do it so that you can say, hey, Grady Jarrett, pin your ears back, go after the quarterback. You are the 3 technique, you attack. Same thing with Javon. Get somebody that, hey, we have Andrew Billings for one more season. He's past 30. How much longer does he want to be playing? You have somebody that can grow, that can be kind of that replacement. And really, when you put on the tape, the PFF grade actually speaks volumes with this. 88.6 run defense grade. This is a run stuffer. The downside, he's not going to give you a lot in the pass game. He's not a big pass rusher, and he's going more focused on the run game, but still just sheds blocks so well. He's so strong, sticks his arms out. It just very, very good at just shedding the blocks in front of him. Can be a little bit high out of his stance. And like I've said before, just needs a little bit more pass rush moves. He's really all about the power moves, trying to win with power. So yes, some room to grow as well from the pass rush game, because really asked to be a run stuffer to let those defensive ends on the outside really then pick up the sacks. So that's something that I feel like we need. So let's see what y'all are saying out there. 50% or 44% saying B, then A is in second place with C in third. Broski's saying out there that he's been wanting the Bears to get a big DT for a while now. People focus too much on pass rushing DTs. Yeah, I agree. I think that like the pass rushing DTs are just so much fun to watch. Tyleik Williams, his film is not super fun to watch, right? Because he's a little slower, but you see the impact. And I just think about when we watch the tape on our YouTube channel, like the All 22, and that's the thing. I'm like, what do I want? I want somebody that can constantly try to wreak havoc on the quarterback. Give me Mike Green. I want somebody that can stop the run, that can move people, that can really just be an enforcer in the run game, because I'm sick and tired of being ran on. That's Tyleik Williams. So to me, I like this pick, and it seems like y'all like this as well. Yeah, good stuff. And yes, he did. Of course, he actually did get injured. I forgot about that. I retweeted it. So I think it was just a little tweak. Shouldn't be anything too bad. But yeah, lots of people liking that pick for sure. Love it. Love it. And so this next one, y'all can crucify me for this. This is 100%. This next pick, I'm forewarning you. Anytime that I have to go on a monologue before a pick, y'all already know that it's going to turn some heads. I know that this is not on, or some of you might say this is on brand for the school, but this is someone that I'm like, I gotta mock this guy here. He went on a top 30 visit with the Bears. He is someone that has actually been mocked to the Bears as well. Luke Easterling actually just mocked him to the Bears. And this is someone that I think that the reason why he's getting brought in is because the Bears need somebody that is an absolute playmaker. And I really want to talk about this guy. So let's talk about this guy. I already know what y'all are going to say out in the comments. I threw an F out there just for chat, just so y'all can throw out an F. It's a true F out there. At pick 72, man, the fan in me chose this one, not the analyst in me. The fan in me chose Isaiah Bond, wide receiver. And yeah, J2K said Makuba or Bond. Yep, you're right. Isaiah Bond, wide receiver out of Texas. All right, let's see the Fs rolling. I'm really curious to see what y'all actually have to say about that, because in all seriousness, Isaiah Bond, this is one of those frustrating, but like as a fan, you're like, what can we do out of this? And this goes against what I normally say. Like I said, this is fan Brad picking this, not analyst Brad picking this. Isaiah Bond is so much fun to watch. He is so flashy. He is so quick. He's so fast. And he's just a playmaker. The thing that he does, former 5-star wide receiver, went over to Alabama and then comes over to Texas. You just put on the tape and this guy just flies. And that's where the comp is Jalen Waddle. Like legit, I've seen other people comp him to Jalen Waddle. And this is one of the hardest people to just kind of do an evaluation, because Texas, the offense is not great. And Quinn Ewers is not a good quarterback at all. Do not draft him. The people that like had him in the first round at the very beginning of the year, I'm like, no, do not do that. Quinn Ewers is not good. Isaiah Bond, the reason why I have him mocked here, top 30 visit with the Bears, you have Antoine Randall, who's going to try and see what he can get out of someone. But also too, this is someone that could play in the slot, could be the Jameson Williams role that you want. He is a speedster. Yeah, he didn't run a 4.2 like he was kind of bragging about at the combine, but he's got next level speed. And that's where I think when you're looking at what Ben Johnson wants, Ben Johnson wants a playmaker. Ben Johnson wants somebody that can flip the field, that anytime he's out on the field, you go, what are we going to do with, like, we have to cover this guy, right? We need to double him. We need somebody to be on him because the ball can be in his hands and he can take it to the next level. That's why I wanted to mock him out there, because this is not a contested catch guy. His contested catch rate 27%. He's not a big time, like, jump up and get it type of a guy. He is I'm going to burn you. He's great against man coverage because he's just going to beat the guy. He's not been great in zone. That's where it's going to come down to coaching. That is why my biggest fear, I say this with so many different players, that's why it's semi-hypocritical for me to make this pick. It's because Texas already has good coaches. That's my biggest fear with Isaiah Bond is, what does Antoine Randall or Ben Johnson, what do they think they can get out of Isaiah Bond that they can pull out of him to say, hey, you went to Alabama, you went to Texas, and you never broke 1,000 yards. You never put up those number one receiving yards. What was the problem? So that's why I kind of wanted to talk about him a little bit more now that we kind of see what this offense is turning into. And also, like I said, it would just be fun. It would be a lot of fun to watch. So that's the reason why I threw it out there. So, and then also too, I see Tyler Scott out there. Tyler Scott, yeah, I just can't see it with Tyler Scott. I'm not fully giving up, but I think Tyler Scott to me is someone. Let's see the comments. Victor with a giant LOL. Yeah. And so Broski, next comment, I see that with Jalen Knoll. That was actually the guy that I was going to pick, because I'm like, oh, I love Jalen Knoll. And quite frankly, I think that Jalen Knoll is probably a better fit. And I think Jalen Knoll for those that don't know, Jalen Knoll's out of Iowa State. The thing that I love about his skill set is he's a vertical slot receiver. And that is something that I think that he's a very good receiver. And I think that his floor is significantly higher. He's the safer pick for sure. Bond, I'm just going to have fun with this for this one for sure. But let's see what we have out this. Yeah, some people liking it. I'm actually seeing a lot more than I thought. But yeah, that's the biggest thing. Yeah, and Bears Bones saying, Ben just said how important playmaking. Yeah, in the slot. That's actually a very good point, Bears Bones. So part of some of the interviews as well, Ben really kind of said how big the slot and getting that player open. Yeah, that's where if they're like, hey, dude, if we can just get Bond open and he can kind of go crazy. One other thing about Bond's route running, I don't see a lot of the word nuance. I don't see a lot of nuance in his route. Like a lot of times with the best route runners, you see some slowness, like they might get out of it a little slow and then turn on the jets. Bond just like runs. He runs like he's the best player on the field, like in a pickup game where he just kind of runs the same speed. He needs a lot of coaching. He needs to take to coaching. Hopefully you got Antoine Randall for a reason. And if you can untap this dude's going to go crazy. It's a very, very boom or bust potential. So yeah, we got some 33% A, 8% B, 50% C, 8% F. I'm actually really surprised by that. So yeah, but a lot of fun with this. So let's talk about next. So we have Isaiah Bond out there, and I saw a comment out there saying, what about running back? So like my big thing with the running backs is, to me, I think that running back is in need. And when I'm looking at running back, and actually before we turn the page on that, I forgot that I had this little graphic right here about some of the wide receivers. I like the idea of grabbing a receiver in the third. The hard part is there's also the safeties, where there's some good safeties in the third round. And I'm not just talking about the great Andrew Makuba out of Texas. I'm talking about Winston out of Penn State. I watched his tape last week, and man, that he's got round two, dare I say even some round one tape out there. There's some good safeties if we do want to go the safety route for the pick 72. The other thing I want to bring up is just the depth at wide receiver at that pick 72 as well. Like we talked about, Jalen Knoll out of Iowa State, Jalen Royals out of Utah State, Xavier Restrepo, who ran a terrible 40 time, but supposedly he did say that he tweaked his ankle and he wanted to run it. He's not super fast, so I'm not like super surprised by that. The guy just gets open, but he's more of that short yardage slot receiver. And then you have other players like Kyle Williams, who's an absolute beast at Washington State. I could see that guy like surprising everyone and going in the second. He's really good. But yeah, that's some of the other pieces. So yeah, exactly. Started the run on some of these wide receiver picks. Let's keep on going with the next player. And let's talk about running backs. Because when we look at running backs, this graphic that I have up there that people are looking at, this is the overall running back. This is like consensus board, like numbers. So when you see the number next to it, it's, Bashal Tutin is consensus board 118. Ollie Gordon, 119. Damian Martinez, 121. I love this pick 148 to try and find a running back. Now, Texas jokes aside, the Bears did actually bring Jaden Blue on a top 30 visit. That is someone that just an absolute speedster at the running back position. Brashard, actually, or I think it was actually at least Eric Bieniemy was there. Maybe it wasn't a top 30 visit, but Eric Bieniemy was out there looking at Jaden Blue, who ran like a 4.2 something. So he has that, yet again, game-changing speed. They brought in Brashard Smith out of SMU. There's a lot of running backs I feel we could potentially get out there. So let's talk about pick number 148. So for pick 148, what I decided to go with, like I said, I wanted to go with running back. And I wanted to put this guy in my mock draft because I absolutely adore this guy. Even though he's not around 148, he's consensus 137. And that is running back RJ Harvey out of UCF. And this guy, my brother has sent me over one of my brothers has sent me over like other videos that other draft analysts have kind of talked about. And I just love seeing how many other people love RJ Harvey. This guy is amazing. This guy, like I said, he's Ashton Genty light to me. This is the thing that I don't love about his game is he a complete complement to a DeAndre Swift? That is my biggest negative with it. But I'm like, he's rising up so many draft boards. I absolutely love this guy. 5'8", 205, redshirt senior, and elusive rating of 122.2. This guy just gets yards. He has he has the second most carries of over 15 yards. He's a game changer that you can get out there in the 4th round that can give you a good running back. Also, if you want to move on from DeAndre Swift, you feel a little bit better about that. Now, some of the negatives, like I said, I think that he kind of conflicts a little bit with DeAndre Swift. Also, too, not great in pass protection. So that's where they would have to try to figure out something out there. But this, to me, this is this year's Tyrone Tracy. I just see RJ Harvey going off. He was great at the Senior Bowl, turned heads at the Senior Bowl. This is someone who's projected to go in the 7th round, and he's just been flying up draft boards. Right now, he's RB12 on the consensus big board. Just great vision. And that's another thing, too. When you see a lot of these other running backs like Tutin, not a great vision running back. But also, too, there's a lot of them that have fumbled a lot. He's good running back. I really like him. He's one of my favorites. So that's why I was like, I got to have him before he goes a little bit higher up the boards. But still, I love this pick 148 if you miss out on the running backs. And it seems like the Bears are doing this, like I said, by bringing in these other running backs to say, hey, what else can we get? Can we get a Brashard Smith? Can we get these other game changers if we miss out on a running back in the 1st round, in the 2nd round, whatever it might be, bringing in another running back. But let's see what y'all are saying. 40% C, 30% B, 20A, and 10% D. And let's see what y'all are saying. Let's see out here. We got Brashard Smith, top 30. Broski saying, your channel rocks. Thank you, my friend. When my channel comes out soon, I want you. And yeah, 100%. Let me know. So yeah, Broski, if you're starting it up, let me know for sure, man. Yeah, I'll hop on whenever you want. Muck saying, not a big RJ Harvey guy. Oh, man. Victor saying, I like some bowling ball with dual threat. Yeah. And let's see what else out there. Yeah, RJ Harvey, seriously, one of my he's the stud running back that I really like. But if I'm looking at other running backs too, at around that pick, I'm hoping Damian Martinez could maybe stay out there. Otherwise, I think the hard part about those picks down there is, do you think that any of them complement a DeAndre Swift, right? What are the Bears' opinions of DeAndre Swift? Because also, too, when last time Ben Johnson had DeAndre Swift, they signed a running back, they drafted a running back, and then they traded DeAndre Swift away after one season in the Ben Johnson system. So that is something to at least look out for. They can get out of DeAndre Swift's contract if they trade him away. So if they do go heavy and go Omarion Hampton, which I saw another mock with the Bears going Omarion Hampton, if they end up going that way, then yeah, maybe they end up trading and then they get another pick later on or something like that. So now let's go into the last little picks, the 7th round picks, the most important picks of the entire draft. We can just kind of fly through some of these. I won't even kind of ask about some of these because these are just more so like, hey, these are just filling out the roster. Because I know a lot of times people have like, oh, we need this pick, we need this player. A lot of these are filling in the rosters. And this one, I kind of wanted to just at least preview this guy because he was brought in a top 30 visit. And I just want to talk about him. That's Nick Martin at pick 233, linebacker out of Oklahoma State. So I want to talk a little bit about him because he got brought in, like I said, at that top 30 visit. He's a redshirt junior, 5'11", 221 out of Oklahoma State. Now, when you put on the tape with this guy, this is just a downhill thumper. Actually, I should have put Malcolm Rodriguez because little smaller stature kind of a guy, but just an absolute downhill thumper. This guy had 47 tackles. He kind of missed most of 2024, but the year before that, he had 140 tackles and 6 sacks. This is someone that lined up as a normal linebacker, but also was asked to play a lot on the line as kind of an outside edge rusher. And that's why, to me, he's kind of that Sam Backer role, where very good in special teams as well, lots of special teams experience. But unfortunately, the Jack Sanborn replacement, I think he fits that role perfectly. So if he's available, I really like this as that other linebacker. Try to kind of put up some of the heat as well. But very good quickness, very good speed, very aggressive guy. The biggest question that I have is in his coverage. Not a great coverage linebacker. And I think it just doesn't seem like he's got great instincts to him. With some linebackers, it feels like, okay, I know who's behind me in zone coverage. I didn't really get that vibe with Nick Martin. So that's why I wanted to talk about him with the top 30 visit. And just downhill thumper. You put him in a Sam linebacker role, love it. But if you put him out in coverage, little bit of questions there, but just a very bursty guy for sure. So, but yeah, special teams helper. So that's one of the people that I threw out there as someone to at least just take a gander at. And then next, I was like, okay, well, we need safety. So I actually did do like, okay, a little safety depth, but also special teams depth. That's the hard part. And that's also where too, when you're looking at this with like the offensive tackle spot, right? Because if you go, well, we need a safety, right? Where do we get a safety? That's where too, also like the trade backs can definitely help out. But also we only have so many draft picks. But this player I like because he's got a lot of special teams to him. And I first watched his Nevada tape, and that's Keaton Crawford out of Nevada. And this is a guy that he's a special teams ace, over 1,000 snaps at special teams. And yet again, very, very good athlete. This guy caught my eye at the scouting combine when he was running drills. He just looked different. He just has those next level movement skills. And like I said, I like to watch the drills at the combine because that is something where you can at least just see how fluid of movers are they. Very, very good mover at the safety position. 5'11", 202. I was watching the tape. I'm like, I really like this guy. He had an 88.5 coverage grade. He's the consensus 274th player, safety 22. And the thing that I thought was very comedic is I started laughing about this because I totally forgot he played for Texas. He was a backup for the Texas Longhorns for 4 years. Didn't play a lot, but I couldn't help but laugh at that. I was like, of course he is. But then he transferred over to Nevada after being a backup, transfers to Nevada, is a starter, and quite frankly, played great. And the thing that I really, really like about this guy, if you miss out on a safety, right? If we want to go like, we we need weapons, right? We go with Tyler Warren with the first pick. Then we get another wide receiver. We get like some offensive weapons. We don't get a safety. The reason why I like Crawford is I feel like he's got a lot of upside because of the athletic prowess that he has and also played pretty darn well in coverage. The things that I don't necessarily love or like some of the knocks on him. He's an over-aggressive safety. He likes to, like my dad is an old school, like my dad loves the guys to just wrap up. He's a no-nonsense, like, yeah, he likes the big hits, but he's always like, good linebackers, good tacklers, they wrap up. And that is something that I always think about when I watch these players. And Crawford is one of those guys. He doesn't wrap up. He's got a 16.2% missed tackle rate. That is one of the things that you're like, hey, I get it. You just fly in and smack people, you got to wrap up. So that is one of the big knocks, but really, I liked him in coverage. I did not mind this guy at all for someone that you can get in the 7th round. Because like when you put on tape of a 7th round player, a lot of it just blends together. So to me, take the guy with the athletic upside and see what he can do. So that's my mock draft. Let me know what y'all think. Some of you might love it. Some of you might hate it. I was like, let's just have fun with this. But like I said, just to kind of recap it, number 10, we're going with Mike Green, somebody that is, has the off the field stuff, but yet again, just evaluating the player itself. I love his tape. He's so much fun to watch. And then also too, you got Simmons dropping to the Bears because of his injury. So you see that dropping and the Bears say, redshirt ya. Then also Tyleik Williams out of Ohio State, defensive tackle to stuff the run. And then we go with the big coin flip of a prospect, Isaiah Bond, boomer bust. Can he kind of get it together for the Bears? Giant playmaker. Then RJ Harvey, very good running back, sound running back system. And then Nick Martin and Crawford to round it out. Just some special teams help with athletic upside. Let me know. Let me know what y'all think. It's always difficult to kind of throw these together and put them all there. But hey, we got a lot of stuff out there. See a lot of bear downs out there. Shy Track saying, yeah, I got to get a 10-gallon hat. Yeah, or some UT stuff. Maybe I need to just change it, right? I'll just change my lights every time that I do that. I'll switch it to burnt orange. There we go. We got the burnt orange going. Locked on Texas Longhorns here. But yeah, so guys, thank y'all so much for coming out. Love going through these mock drafts with you. Like I said too, click the link down below in the description. Draft Guide version 2.0 is out here. 120 different profiles out there. I got the Kevin Winston one out there, broski, so you can look at the Kevin Winston Penn State one as well. Lots and lots of new players. Keep it all out there, but make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already. Tell your friends about the show too. And also Draft Guide, absolutely free for you, the people. Thank you all so much for hanging out. And Unbearable Sports Podcast, we are out.
Yeah, she's got some nice long hair and you know that she's a bad